All right, welcome back, everyone. We have Miss Mara with us today. This is Ebonie, a.k.a. Fit Mom Diva, for those of you that haven't listened to any of our episodes in the past. And Mara is going to share a little bit about her success story and give you some jewels that you could take with you into your day and the rest of your week. And if you stick around to the end, you very well may have an opportunity to get a complimentary gift. So stick around to the end and listen to what Mara wants to share with us today. Mara, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to share your jewels with us. And if you could just start off by sharing with us one motivational quote that really inspires you, something that gets you going so that we can get to know you a little bit better.
Thank you, Ebonie, for having me, firstly. And if I may, I kind of have three that kind of guide me and govern me, and for different reasons. So the first is a scripture, actually, and it's taken from Matthew chapter 16, the verses 25, and it essentially just says, "Whosoever shall save his life shall lose it, and whoever shall lose his life for my name's sake shall find it." And what that scripture has meant to me is, if we align ourselves with the word of God and align ourselves with, his purpose and such, and his will, that's when we'll find true fulfillment in life and purpose, etc. The other one is a quote, I believe, by Bob Marley, or that's who I've always known it to be from. And it's, "You never know how strong you are until being strong is the only choice you have." And I've seen that time and time again in my life. You don't think you're going to make it through a situation, or you're just like, I can't see my way out kind of thing. But when you have no other option, you really have to just pull up your bootstraps and realize, okay, well, there's no other option. We just have to get through this. So I've realized strength through that. And the third is, I'm of Jamaican descent, and so my grandmother would say, it's in patois, but I'll translate it. Basically, it says, "If you want good, your nose have to run." So what that means is, if you want good things or achievements, or etc., you really have to work hard for them. So yes, your nose will run, and yes, there will be hard times, but you're going to have to work if, there's certain things that you want and different successes and such like that. So those are the ones that kind of lead me and govern me and that I stick to.
Yes, and that's very, very true. You can't necessarily want for things to occur in your life and then you want to sit back and just say, oh, okay, whenever it happens, and I don't have to put forth any effort and work. Most things that we want and we're successful at it because there was work involved. So yes, I definitely agree with that. Can you talk about a time when you didn't necessarily see the light at the end of the tunnel and things were difficult for you? You were putting in the work and you kept experiencing all of these external obstacles and circumstances, and at the end of the day, even though it was difficult, you were able to see that goal or that dream to fruition.
Yeah, certainly. And it's kind of a recent one, actually. So a couple of years ago now, I moved from my home city to where I am now in Toronto, initially for school. And so after finishing school, I was kind of on that job hunt, trying to align myself. It was my postgraduate, so I was going back to kind of really drive into my career and what I was passionate about, etc. So after having finished, there was some time of applications, and then a little bit more time of applications, and then more time. And finally, I was able to secure something in my field, which I was very happy about. But in that time, which was probably, a little under a year kind of thing, I called it my character building months, where there were some trying times where I wanted to give up. I wanted to throw in the towel, but I had so many people who I kind of reached out to, and there was like a consistent message of just, stay on the path, basically. And, one that I really liked, she said, "The sun is still shining even behind the clouds." And I was like, wow, that's huge, because yes, there's going to be different hard times and you're not going to see your way through, or it's cloudy, what have you. But that doesn't mean that your answer isn't coming or the opportunity isn't coming. We can't see the future. Literally, the answer could be like right around the corner, but if we quit, you know, that's it. So yeah, that was a big one for me, being able to secure something in my field. So yeah.
Yeah, and that can be particularly difficult sometimes for people that just graduate college. You're like, I've earned this college degree. I spent all my blood, sweat, and tears and money and energy on this particular degree, and I can't find what it is that I went to school for. And, sometimes people will ask me questions like, well, what should I be doing, or what am I doing wrong? And sometimes it is just a growth process for us. I think if everything was handed to us on a silver platter as quickly as we wanted to, we wouldn't grow in the process to be able to use that growth in other areas of our life that we might need it in later on. So I've experienced that. I've experienced applying for jobs that I thought that I was qualified for, or maybe even overqualified for, and I didn't get the job. And so I had to keep on pressing on to the next thing. And I'm like, well, why didn't I get that one? I should have definitely qualified for that job. And eventually it led me to somewhere that was probably even better and better pay in a better setting than had I settled on some of those previous positions that I thought were for me. So I definitely agree that it could be a character building process sometimes, that we don't recognize the significance and the positive in it until later on when we look back on the situation. Talk to us about what your next steps are in your journey to inspire others. Because if people take a look at your Instagram page, they'll see that you're all about making impact in this world and not just working a job just to say, I have money to pay my bills. So what are some of your next steps, and what is your intention behind your social media presence?
So the reason I started my blog in the first place, a few years ago, sometimes I'm a little bit more diligent with it than others, but the whole premise was, it's a lifestyle blog. But I wanted to showcase, for me, not that I'm necessarily considered like just a modest blogger or what have you, but modesty is something that is important to me, and it's a part of my lifestyle, and it's part of the way I dress. So I wanted to share that with the younger generation and show that, hey, it's okay to still be modest. You can still be fashionable, and in all the different areas and such, because I found what I was seeing wasn't necessarily like in mainstream media, didn't align necessarily with my life. And I kind of wanted to showcase that there's like an alternative kind of thing. And it was just another portion of it was, I remember I'd go on Pinterest and such like that, because I also did blogging for a fashion consultant. So I would have to pull images here and there. And as a Black woman, when I personally went on and I was like searching for like this specific item or what have you, I wouldn't see myself reflected in terms of seeing other Black women and such like that. So I just kind of wanted to be additional presence, so that, when whomever comes on and sees myself or whoever, they can feel, okay, yes, we can have modest Black bloggers or what have you, and just be an encouragement in that sense.
Right.
So we can build a sense of community kind of thing. So yeah, that was my idea behind starting this up. And then since that, it kind of has stayed in that realm, but grown a little bit, where it's not just about style and fashion. And now I write a little bit more about some of the, circumstances that I've had to face in life and how I've come through them, just as a way of encouragement. And the way I see it, I figure it's not going to reach everyone, and it's not necessarily for everyone, but even if it touches one person, for me, it's worth it. Right. And I know sometimes blogging can seem narcissistic or like you're full of yourself. And I always like to combat that with, you have to look at the intentions behind it. If someone's intention is just all about themselves and they just want to promote themselves, sure, then of course that's narcissistic. But if it's to build for the greater good of building a community and having a sense of culture where we can all kind of lean on each other and encourage one another, I think it's worth it. So, I mean, again, for people wanting to start a blog or do something like that, there's always going to be naysayers who have something to say and, oh, you're just into yourself and such like that. But really do some self-reflection. What are the reasons you're doing it? If your reasons are pure, go for it.
Yeah, and I love that you decided to bring that sense of modesty to the social media world, because we have a tendency to see all these different images like you suggested, and you think that that's how everybody thinks and behaves, when in all actuality that's just a small percentage of the population. So I strongly appreciate when people can bring their own sense of authenticity to social media to show you that there's other angles of how to live life and how to showcase yourself in life. And with blogging, I strongly believe that it's important for people to share their stories through blogging and any other kind of platform, because I think that too many times people feel like they're alone in their circumstances. And if you didn't have that courage to share your story, whether it's, a positive thing or a negative thing, there are many people out there that wouldn't be inspired into action. They may have had a goal or a dream since they were 8 years old, and they just never see themselves actually realizing that dream due to all different circumstances. So connecting with people like you that's doing it, I think is important. It's an awesome way to become a role model for some people. Mm-hmm. Can you talk to the people that want to be able to use social media as a platform to get their message out, but they feel like they don't necessarily have a very strong support system to do so?
Yeah. So your support system, if whoever you have locally, kind of that around you sort of thing, isn't that supportive of your vision or doesn't necessarily see the vision. And remember with that, it's your vision. So not everyone's going to see your vision. But anyways, that's just another point. But lean on the network that you have digitally or online. There's always people, who want to communicate. Social media is supposed to be social. We're supposed to engage with one another. It doesn't have to just be like you're looking up to your blogger or you like what you see, but you don't engage with them. Talk to people. Ask them how they started, how they're building their brand, whomever. We can all kind of lean to someone else and be inspired. And grow and use that to really build whatever it is that you're trying to work towards. And I think sometimes there's a lot of apprehension that people have, like, oh, well, I can't reach out to them. They're, they have X, Y, like however many followers or whatever, they're not going to be interested. And I feel like people should just kind of get that mentality out of their head and just reach out. The whole point of the blogger starting their brand or whatever was to build this sense of community. So that's the very root of it. So just kind of bite the bullet, reach out. I mean, what's the worst that can happen anyways? Maybe you don't get
And at the end of the day, when you're thinking about their presence online, whether they have, 100,000 followers or 500, their presence online is in a sense, to build a sense of community. Otherwise they wouldn't have been doing it for so long. I'm pretty sure that they've had other people reach out to collaborate. And you're right. What's the worst that could happen? They tell you no. So then you just move on to the next person, So it's like, there's so many billions of people on this earth that to not reach out and network with someone because they have X amount of followers is like, what's the big deal in that? When you can go onto someone else's account 10 seconds later and perhaps establish a relationship with that person instead,
Right.
So yeah, I appreciate you mentioning that, because sometimes we get caught up in the numbers on the quality, not so much the quality, but the quantity of followers that someone has on social media to determine whether or not they're worthy and whether or not you're meant to talk to that person or not.
It can
What kind of special projects do you have coming up that you would want people to collaborate with you or network with you on?
Projects? I don't think I'll have any like specific projects. For now, I'm just kind of developing a brand. I'm just having fun with it, really, at the end of the day. Sometimes it's blogging about style. Sometimes it's faith. Sometimes it's food. I'm really into wellness. So I'm all about my essential oils and such like that. So I guess there's not anything like specific, but hey, reach out to me. Let's talk. I mean, whether you're local or not, we can still kind of collaborate and work together. And if, we have the same vision, or maybe it's something different that I can explore, I'm really open to whatever kind of thing. So yeah.
Yes, and so you guys just heard Mara. She just said to you to reach out. So for those of you that feel like you don't have a strong support system and you want to be inspired by positive, like-minded women, Mara just told you, she just basically gave you the invitation to reach out. And I think that all of the areas that you just mentioned, faith, fashion, and wellness, are areas that all of us can benefit from. Even if you're not someone that shares the same exact faith, what I find is that people that have faith at the center of their lives in general just tend to want to do better and they value self-improvement. So I would strongly suggest any of you that are listening that want a community of people around you that can help support you and encourage you to definitely connect with her. And for those of you that want an even deeper community, I have a Nutrition for Busy Women Facebook group. It's Nutrition, the number 4, Busy Women Facebook group. And all of my contact info as well as Mara's will be in the description box. But I invite you to collaborate with me as well and share your story. If you feel like your story could impact other people, I welcome you to participate in any of these upcoming interview series. I often tell people that even on your worst days, you can find some type of encouragement in your network if you just are open to looking for it. I don't stay down for long because all I gotta do is log on to social media and I see people like Mara and other people that are giving words of wisdom and encouragement and inspiration. So I'm like, well, I need to get up, Ebonie, and do something, So
sometimes you don't even think about how your little thing affects somebody else. It's so true.
Yes. So take the words of encouragement to heart, because normally for myself, I put out this content, it's coming from my heart. I'm not putting it out just because I think it might sound good. It's coming from my heart. And it's to help all of us grow. Mara, can you give us some last words of encouragement or talk about a specific challenge that you are facing right now that you believe that would help somebody feel like, okay, well, I'm not all alone?
My last piece of advice, or I'll start with my challenge first. My current position is definitely an area where at first I kind of felt it was a world that I was used to in terms of communications, but the industry is kind of in healthcare and healthcare policy and such like that, which was a world that I hadn't really delved into. All that to say, you kind of sometimes just have to earn your stripes, and it may take some time, but just keep working at it. And you're not going to be an expert at everything. And what I try to remind myself all the time is, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Yeah. And so I find myself coming against that often, but I'm like, you know what? This is great. I'm learning. I'm being challenged. And this is, only going to be to the betterment of my career and just myself as an individual to kind of be able to get through this and explore this whole new avenue. So just stay the course. And, if you're up against hard times or, you feel like you can't figure something out, just keep at it. You will. Eventually you will. And then my last piece of advice, well, I guess that kind of tied into it as well. Just set timelines and goals and really work after it. Not just, yes, set goals, that's great, but give yourself timelines as well. Otherwise, it's just going to be like something that you're going to do in the distant future, and like, oh, I really wanted to do this, or really wanted to start a blog, I really want to start a motivational group, or etc. If you don't put timelines behind it, who knows when it'll happen. So I was actually recently just talking to a friend, and we're saying the same thing. If you give yourself a specific timeline, in 4 months, I want to do X, Y, Z. You'll really have something to work towards and see it to fruition.
Yes, I love those last words of encouragement. And I think that all of us can identify with times in our lives where we procrastinate. So we
Mm-hmm.
have these big ideas and these big visions, and we're like, yeah, I want to do that someday. And then 5 years later, you're saying, man, I talked about that 5 years ago, and look how much time has gone by. So I love that, to be able to set timelines and goals, and then to actually write it down, like put it on the calendar so it's visually in front of you, so that when that day comes and you haven't done anything, you can really see it glaring in your face, like, wow, I'm really behind and I need to get going. So I love that. I always try to tell people that if we just say every week, yeah, Monday I'll start that, and then Monday comes, you don't do anything, and then the next Monday, oh yeah, I'll start that on Monday, we never make much progress in our lives, at least not to where we want to make. So yes, thank you. I appreciate those last words of encouragement. All of you listening, you will have access to Mara at the links in the description box. And as I stated, if you also want to share words of encouragement to ladies all around the world, please feel free to contact me, because we need it. And I believe that it doesn't matter where we are in our growth process, we need words of encouragement. So whether we are someone that has 1 billion followers or we have 10, I still believe that none of us have arrived and we can all benefit from your story. Mara, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day, and I appreciate you. I hope that everything goes well with your adventures, and I'm definitely going to continue following you. And who knows, maybe we'll have a part 2 later on after Mara has accomplished some things. So you guys stick around and continue to listen to some of our future episodes as well. You guys have an awesome rest of the day wherever you are in the world, and I will talk to you in our next episode.